Good morning. This is Anna Crowe with the Get Real podcast, where CEOs, CMOs, and communications experts share their real advice. It's 5 questions under 9 minutes because we get to it real fast. So let's get to it. I'm so excited to have JM join us this morning. In a few sentences, could you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hey, nice to be on here. Thanks for having me. JM Ryerson. I am the CEO of Let's Go Win, and we are all about helping people inspire them to live their best lives. So that's why the company exists. Wrote a book. It was for my boys, and we ended up sharing it with a lot of the world. So it's been a really cool journey and meet so many cool athletes, executives, people that are doing some incredible things and truly living their best lives.
I love that. I love what you're doing in the book. So I really appreciate you joining today. Jam, you talk about this a little bit, but part of this podcast, well, the big part of this podcast is all around authenticity and authentic connections. And I hear from other leaders that creating authentic connections can be challenging when it's very noisy out there. What's your take on that?
I think that starts with the person. If you're willing to be vulnerable, people will be vulnerable back with you, but you have to open that door first. So yes, I get it. The world's busy. I understand that. However, if you truly will let somebody in. So for instance, whenever I have somebody, I have them over to my home. I cook them a meal or have it delivered, but it's in my home and it's an intimate setting. So I understand the idea, but truly, if in my opinion, it's on the person to own their vulnerability first, really put themselves out there. Don't mask who you are, and then people are more apt to be open with you as well.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And you're right, especially with the home example, which is the perfect example. You're opening up your home to someone, right? You in some cases can't get more vulnerable than that from a physical standpoint, right? This is how I live, this is what I do, and I'm hosting you. So that's a really great example. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have any other real examples or real advice for other leaders? Is there anything else that you think is really important?
I literally, vulnerability is the word I'm going to come back to. And it's quite literally, I remember being taught boys don't cry. It's terrible advice. And it's not something that my dad, that's how he was taught. Therefore, that's what I was taught. But look, if I'm not crying out there all the time, but if I'm feeling it, yeah, let it go, man. It's like, so I just put myself out there. My people that I work with, they know what they're going to get, and I'm not going to mask it. So it's literally just saying, I'm not going to hide who I am. I'm going to give you everything I got. I know that can be scary, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a quote in my book. It's not my quote. It's debatable of who wrote it. Some places attributed to Dr. Seuss, but it's those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. Right. So that vulnerability is so important, and there's no reason or purpose for that facade because you're never going to build that connection or create the relationship that could be so impactful in your life or the lives of others. So I love that. Very cool.
Me too. I do as well. I do. It's, for instance, I know we're in a virtual world, but like when I hug somebody, I hug them like a child would hug someone. It's not this weird side hug. It's like, no, man, come here, give it to me. And that's kind of one more thing that you can look at. I realize different time right now. We can't even really see each other, but when we do, I'm going to give you, and I hope it's reciprocal. So anyway, just maybe another example of just putting yourself out there. If you hug a 5-year-old, they don't do the like, they give it everything. Why do we change that as adults? Play, have some fun.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to put a little extra effort on it in the wake of this and post-pandemic, right? Because right now people don't want to stand within 6 feet from you, especially strangers. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I agree with you. Well, very cool. Before we get to our question about your background and how you got started, are there any other successful executives such as yourself that you would like to acknowledge or think should be, shouted out?
Oh, that list is long. I mean, I'm a reader, so I typically go to books. I think Adam Grant, I think Simon Sinek, Nelson Mandela obviously is not still with us, but one of my favorite leaders. Those are three that just off the top of my head, too recent. And then, one obviously that's not with us any longer, but those are just leaders that I've looked up to. They put stuff out into the world. I love the name of your podcast, Get Real. These people were real. They were authentic or are authentic, and they're not afraid of what that looks like. So those are a couple off the top of my head.
Awesome. Definitely some great men to acknowledge. Well, you've had a lot of success with Let's Go Win, and a wonderful career, but can you tell us how you got started? What was your first job?
Oh, my first job? Well, I mean, I was a lifeguard in high school right away. No, but graduating college, I worked for Enterprise Rent a Car. Actually, that's where I met my wife. 3.5 years. Learned a lot about. You know what I did? I learned more mistakes and I was able to. They gave you the freedom to make those mistakes, and it taught me a lot of as I started building my own companies how not to act in a lot of ways. But so that's where I started straight away was Enterprise Rent a Car right out of college.
That's great. And to your point, that's such an important piece of a corporate culture. So how cool that you got to experience that early on and have been able to replicate it or elevate it in your own companies. So appreciate you sharing that. Well, how could people get a hold of you or learn more about Let's Go Win or anything else that you're doing?
Yeah, go to letsgowin.com. There's a free assessment on there. I take it once a month just to check in. Let's Go Win 365 would be the social media. And I did just publish a new, I guess you call it a playbook. It's called Champions Daily Playbook. It's on Amazon. I think so often, Anna, when you send somebody a book, likelihood of them reading, maybe it's 10-15%, but this is an actual, just like a journal. So it's like 10 pages of reading, but something that you can apply very, very easily. So if you're not familiar with me or what I do, maybe this is a good intro.
Fantastic. Well, I so appreciate you joining, and thanks everyone for tuning in. This is Anna Crowe. For more insights, visit us at crowepr.com. Thanks so much. Make it a great day.